Hello and welcome to Champion Reviews. Today we have episode Sci-Fi.
Cinco.
Yeah, Cinco. Boy, did this episode Cinco. Or Stinko, I should say. Mysterio. The mysterious loser. Oh, man. Like, the best part of this episode was the Uncle Ben flashback.
Mm-hmm.
Because this series did Uncle Ben better than any other portrayal. Now, don't get me wrong, the Sam Raimi voice actor was the best actor for the job. But the way they approach Uncle Ben in this show is the best. And his voice actor is, quite frankly, really, really good. The trouble is you have this Mysterio episode where the investigation just...
Disjointed mess.
It's a disjointed mess, yeah. And it's just...
They could have strung it better. And the entire attack on Mysterio, the entire base, it's like...
Heck, even the mall.
It was an acid trip and not a good one.
They were having a lot of fun, the animators, but this was a case where they needed to kind of rein themselves in and go in a different direction if they were going to go all out.
I understand Mysterio is a very flamboyant.
But it was boring. Like, you want flashy and flamboyant. They did great with Hobgoblin. I mean, maybe some of this flamboyance could have been used with Green Lantern in the Justice League cartoon. But here, it was just, I don't know, it was all over the place.
I mean...
Like, MJ, as to her, we'll get to her now. I was not entirely impressed. I was actually pretty bored, and I found it just, you could have done more, you could have done better.
And as much as there was a time that I liked Mary Jane's voice actress in this series, kind of think of it,
she's good, but...
She's good, but there's something more that they could have done with her voice acting.
They could have also done more with the character herself. Like, they should have gone with the comics. The comics always did MJ really well. Because you look...
She always knew Peter was Spider-Man.
That's the key thing. And it's not just Peter who's always carried this burden, but her.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that really strongly connected the two characters.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, this series did not take that approach. And that weakened the character. That's why all the live-action movies suck.
Why?
Because you need MJ to know the secret. It is the key to her character.
It's why there's bipolar writing.
Yeah.
And usually...
At least it's not as bad as Gwen Stacy, whenever she appears. Because Gwen's just the worst love interest, if you can even term her that was ever there. Because she's...
Mm-hmm.
That's like pairing him up with Green Goblin.
And when Stan Lee's in the house writing MJ in this series, it's very bipolar. Him in a better...
Well, sometimes. You gotta bear in mind, Stan Lee did not write female characters very well, typically.
I agree.
Now, that said, occasionally he did great with MJ in the early days. The trouble is, with the comics, MJ became the main character after she appeared. That's a fact. But in the cartoon, you can't do that. So, in the cartoon, you either need to... Like, they should have stepped her up. Instead, they kind of brought her down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the other hand, Peter's writing is way better.
And it's like she needed a better coordination between her subtle dialogue of knowledge of Spider-Man and character behavior. Because there are moments in this episode where it seems like she's aware she's just being subtle about checking in on him.
Yeah.
Like when...
I'm just checking in to make sure you're not dead. Now, that said, in the comics, there's only one way you'd be able to interpret that. She knows. But Peter never clued in.
Mm-hmm.
Until she just broke down and told him. But that said, anyways, enough with that. Sorry if I say that. It's just...
One thing that I liked about this episode was the introduction of Lieutenant Terry Lee.
She is a good point of the series. I really like Terry Lee.
Mm-hmm. Sure, she was based off of Jean the Wolf. but the wolf didn't was pretty much a cheap knockoff of Captain Stacy.
And he never really went anywhere.
Exactly.
Whereas Terry Lee is a great character who goes somewhere. And in this episode, though, they've got Terry, they got Jameson, one scrambling for the truth, Jameson scrambling to screw over Spider-Man. I wish I could say there's more of a plot than that, but there really isn't. Spider-Man struggles with being Spider-Man until he remembers what his Uncle Ben told him. Okay. At least it's not the plot of Spider-Man 2, no offense, but that's the worst Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
That's the worst one. I rank it even lower than 3 because that stupid cringe train scene. And, I don't feel like being Spider-Man. I'm going to quit. It's like, no, that's not Peter Parker.
Good God.
But then again, Sam Raimi never understood the character. Period. End of story.
One thing that is consistent with the Spider mythos is that the video with Quentin Beck's arrest, where here it is, he says...
Oh, that wasn't a video, that was a flashback.
Yeah, flashback. Whatever.
Yeah?
It's like, I'll get even with you if it's the last thing I do.
Oh, yeah. And you have Terry just looks at him. You didn't think much of that statement? Hey, I hear that about 2-3 times a week. I actually think that line was a mistake. They should have had him say, hey, I hear that about 2-3 times a day. Or an hour.
It's like,
Cut some slack.
Sure, a day seems more accurate, but when it comes to this series Spider-Man's humor, sometimes he does have a tendency to exaggerate.
Yeah, but this is not an exaggeration.
Yeah, I know.
He hears it all the time, and we actually see all the times he does hear it.
I mean,
not all the times, but he hears it from JJ, from Brock.
From an entire population, apparently.
Yeah. Well, there's an entire demographic of New York in-universe that hates him. And that's kind of part and parcel for the character. All right, let's rate this monster. Quarter star.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really give this episode much more. This is one of the only bad episodes.
It's like a few moments does not an episode make.
No. Thankfully, the next episode's going to be a little better. And the one after that's going to be really good. Anyways, this was our review of episode 5. So if you liked it and want to see what we've got in mind for episode 6, like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.